Hello, everybody. It is story time with Checkers and Jingle here. So, I want to tell you guys about the story of Kenji, about his life. So, as many of you guys may not know, last year Kenji passed away peacefully. We lost him last year on November 6th. So, Kenji was adopted on June 21st, 2023. He was a black samurai beta fish. We actually adopted him because, two of our previous beta fish, Blue Hawaiian passed away on May 30th, 2023, and then Finley, my second beta fish, passed away unexpectedly from undisclosed causes or natural causes. Finley died unexpectedly, and my family and we had to take Finley back to the pet store and we had to get a refund. And the employee at the pet store said that we had to wait for 2 weeks until the water is ready for the beta fish. In other words, we had to get the water conditioned and, of course, get things ready for our beta fish. And then after 2 weeks passed, my mom and I went to Petco and we actually got Kenji. So Kenji was given an Asian name because my dad likes martial arts. He likes martial arts and he has seen some films, like for example martial art films, like for example Enter the Dragon with the late Bruce Lee. So my mom and I decided to give the name Kenji. So Kenji was our third beta fish. He was a very special fishy. Kenji was there for me when I needed him the most. He was there for me when I was getting bullied. He was there for me when I got my bone marrow biopsy last year. He was a great big brother to my hamsters, my late hamster Mocha, and of course my current hamster Checkers. And he was a younger brother for my older Syrian hamster Shaggy. So when I brought Kenji home, Shaggy and Kenji, they started to get used to each other, and those two were inseparable. So in other words, they loved each other very much. When Shaggy passed away on August 6th, 2023, Kenji was really upset. Before Shaggy died on August 5th, I told Kenji, I said, Kenji, your brother's about to die. And Kenji was like swimming around. He was really worried and very upset and really sad. Like, he knew exactly what was going on because, yes, Shaggy, he had cancer. And then on August 6th, 2023, at 3:30 p.m., Shaggy took his final breath and passed away peacefully. He lost his battle from cancer. So when I brought Shaggy's body to Kenji, he's like he stood still in his tank and he looked really sad and he was looking really upset. Like, he knew exactly what was going on with Shaggy, and of course Kenji was very upset. And then on August 9th, 2023, when I brought Mocha home, it took Kenji some time to get used to Mocha, and then as months and weeks went by, as time went by, both Mocha and Kenji, they were starting to get used to each other, and of course, you know, Kenji started to like Mocha, and Mocha liked Kenji too. So in other words, those two were starting to love each other and like each other. They were a good brother and sister, despite them being two species of animals. Kind of, yes, Mocha was a hamster, she's a mammal, and Kenji is a fish, a fish that lives in the water. Now, of course, on September 21st, 2024, what happened was Mocha passed away, and of course, I picked her up and showed her to Kenji, and Kenji was really worried and he looked really sad. And of course, Mocha's passing had really made Kenji upset and he was heartbroken. So in other words, it broke his heart. So he was really sad and he was looking for Mocha. He was really upset over her passing. So my family and we decided to wait until we were ready for a hamster. When I first got checkers last year, Kenji liked checkers very much, and that was the first time that I had both a black and white fish and a black and white hamster together. It's not the first black and white hamster that I ever had. The first one I had was Oreo, but Oreo died unexpectedly a few days later, back in 2018. But anyways, for Kenji, he liked checkers very much, and checkers really liked him. Of course, Kenji got to meet a lot of people and animal friends too. Kenji got to meet Hamilton, who is my friend's hamster. He got to meet my ex-boyfriend Rohan, and he got to meet everybody, you know. On November 6th of last year, I was just going to say good morning to Kenji, and I noticed something was wrong. I didn't see him move. Like he wasn't moving in his tank, and there was no movement. Because normally when I say good morning to him, he would just swim around in his tank, blow bubbles, look at me and stuff like that, and he would get really excited. But instead, I noticed something was wrong, and he wasn't moving. He wasn't swimming like usual. And of course, a few hours later, my parents went in my room, and they turned on the light on in the fish tank, and of course they were looking for Kenji, and of course my parents told me they said that they found Kenji dead in his tank. So in other words, Kenji was found dead. He was on the pebbles. He wasn't moving, he wasn't swimming, he wasn't breathing, and my parents told me, they said, I'm sorry, but Kenji passed away, and it really had hit me so much. It really hurt my heart. And of course, it also made not Shaggy, I'm sorry about that. It made Checky really upset. So Checkers was really upset, and we had to mourn the loss of Kenji. And then on November 7th, 2014, I'm sorry, 2024, on November 7th, 2024, we actually adopted Jingle, the beta fish, which I will tell you guys about Jingle's story tomorrow because, yes, tomorrow's going to be Jingle's birthday. So, even though Kenji is no longer alive anymore, he'll still always be a great fish. So, Kenji is now buried with Mocha and the other past and present hamsters and fish. So, Kenji was very special. He was actually the first black and white fish that I had because he's a black fish with white all over, and he was a very, very special fishy. He'll never be forgotten. I'll always remember Kenji. So Kenji was a year old when he passed away peacefully. So yeah, so that's all I have to say. Story time with Checkers and Jingle signing off. Bye.